Hello, and welcome to today's webinar session about the new online curriculum solution for the Doctor of Nursing practice degree. My name is Jennifer Stiles, and I am the Senior Marketing Manager for Nursing here at Jones & Bartlett Learning, and I'm pleased to welcome you to today's webinar. I'm also joined today by my colleague, Mary Colleen Liberti, Technology Product Manager and Guru here at Jones & Bartlett Learning. She will lead us through today's live product demonstration. We have a great session planned for you today. We'll introduce you to the complete curriculum solution. We'll discuss the features and benefits of the courses, and we'll also conduct a live product demonstration. So let's get started. As many of you know, and for those of you who might be a little bit unfamiliar with Jones & Bartlett Learning, we have been a leading content provider for advanced practice nursing and Doctor of Nursing practice focused texts for many years. And this slide is a strong representation of some of our top and most recently published advanced practice nursing textbooks. Based on the need within higher education and the healthcare recommendations from both the Institute of Medicine and the Association of Colleges of Nursing for a more highly educated nursing workforce, we've leveraged our knowledge and our expertise in the area of DNP content to create the first of its kind online Doctor of Nursing practice curriculum, which is comprised of 12 individual courses. This slide features just a handful of our top leading DNP textbooks from which we built the DNP online curriculum. A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure to attend the AACN's doctoral conference in Naples, Florida, and I talked to many nursing instructors who actually, use many of these textbooks and, praised us for all of the great work that we've done in this area, and they were very excited to see that we had actually complemented our offering with this online curriculum solution. We created these courses in collaboration with subject matter experts, course writers, and instructional designers, as well as practicing clinicians. These courses have also been critically reviewed by practicing DNPs, and they draw their content from leading Jones & Bartlett Learning textbooks as well as other sources. So in the previous slides, you saw just a handful of some of our top texts. So this is where we've drawn some of our content. And what's unique and what's important to know about these courses is they're not textbook-centric. So while the textbook can be used with these courses, it draws from other sources of information. And you'll see that a little bit when Mary Colleen conducts a live product demonstration. So let's talk a little bit about individually these courses. What are some of the features and what are some of the benefits? Each of these courses has carefully been aligned to the AACN Essentials for the DNP degree, as well as the QSIN competencies and the IOM core competencies. As I just mentioned, the content is drawn from our key advanced practice and Jones & Bartlett Learning DNP-focused textbooks, as well as other resources, making each one of these courses really robust because there are many website references, and the inclusion of additional information makes it a really rich course for the student. Because we realize that students who are going for their DNP degree will be most likely taking these courses at night. They've been made so that they're mobile and tablet compatible for the student who's on the go, who needs access to course content anytime, anywhere. So it's a really important feature that we've recognized for this particular student. In terms of the seat hours, each course features 9 to 12 seat hours per lesson and features 3 credit hours per course. We know that many schools out there are using Blackboard. That seems to be one of the most prevalent learning management systems, and each course has a Blackboard cartridge readily available for convenience and for ease of use and getting up and running right away. In terms of how these courses can be purchased or how they can be used, they can be purchased individually. If if you have a nursing ethics course that you want to roll a course into, you can do that. They can also be purchased and used as part of a full curriculum solution as the foundation for creating a full curriculum or even adding to it. This slide right here represents the full online listing of courses. We have the Introduction to the Doctor of Nursing Practice Role, Leadership in Organizations and Systems, Nursing Theory, Healthcare Delivery and Social Policy, Health Policy Development and Implementation, Translating Evidence into Nursing Practice, Research Principles and Methods, Healthcare Information Systems, Population Health. We have a course dedicated to how nurses can deal with advanced health promotion across diverse cultures, as well as epidemiology and biostatistics. So as you can see, this is a pretty robust list of courses, course topics that can either be used to complement an existing program or can be used as a foundation and a basis to create a program, because we have put a lot of resource and mind share into creating these courses, drawing on expertise. In creating this curriculum, we definitely understood the need to map these courses to the essentials, the standards, and the competencies that students need to know and that schools need to demonstrate for accreditation. And this grid here is a robust mapping document for the Introduction to the DNP role course. And as you can see, this grid outlines the learning objectives and exactly how the course maps to each one of these standards, the AACN's DNP Essentials, the IOM Core Competencies, as well as the QSIN competencies. So we have created a mapping document like this for each one of the 12 courses. What I've reflected here on this screen is just, really a snippet to show you the level of detail that we've gone through to make this mapping quite transparent for you. The one thing that you're not seeing is the key that corresponds to the letters in the Roman numerals here so that you can see how everything matches up. And we're happy to provide a sample document of the first lesson of each one of these courses if this is something that you would be interested in seeing for review. This next slide really just reflects how each one of our courses maps to the AACN Essentials. So if we take the first essential, which is the scientific underpinnings for practice, we have two courses that map back to that essential. It's the first course, the Introduction to the DNP role, and then it's also the Nursing Theory course. So we have done a lot of work here in this area just to ensure that these courses will meet the standards as well as meet the students' need for them to be more prepared and to get their credentials. We also know that the healthcare landscape and that colleges and universities and healthcare organizations are challenged with keeping up with the demands of creating a more highly educated and highly trained nursing workforce. And that was one of the reasons that we decided to create an online curriculum. And for those of you who might not be teaching an online course, or if your institution hasn't yet gone the way of instituting online courseware, you might be asking, why should I explore an online course? And there are several different reasons to do so. When you employ an online curriculum, you have the opportunity to reach a broader spectrum of students. That can increase course enrollments, can allow you to be very competitive within the landscape of higher education as we're seeing the number of DNP programs grow and the number of students going back to school to actually, get more of these degrees as we see more and more changes coming from the IOM and the AACN. And by offering an online program that can be flexible, that's actually, a really beneficial thing to students as well. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mary Colleen, and she's going to walk us live through one of the DNP courses. So what you will see here, just for a few seconds, is the screen change while I pass over the presenter rights to Mary Colleen. So just bear with me for 1 second, and I'm going to turn it over.
That's great, Jen. Thank you so much, and welcome to you all. I so appreciate you spending some time with us today to review this course and let us show you these online materials and curriculum solutions. We're going to focus on the Introduction to the DNP Role course, which, as you should see right now, is on our Jones and Bartlett Learning Management System, which is called Navigate. And that is an instance of Moodle. So if you're familiar with Moodle, then this will look very familiar to you. But something to touch on that Jen mentioned is that we do have Blackboard cartridges available for this course. They will look very similar. This course will look very similar in Blackboard. And we can also work with any other of the major learning management systems or your own proprietary learning management system. So again, feel free to reach out to your sales rep, and we can certainly get that information to you. Okay, so I'm going to focus on the course and show you some of the great tools that we offer here. And you're going to see that I'm going to look at the overall course, and then we're going to dive into one of the lessons. So let me just show you one thing that we've done at Jones and Bartlett. We have a great commitment to building courses that really resonate with the online learning experience. So we know students are coming from all different backgrounds. Some people are very tech savvy and maybe are digital natives. Some are digital immigrants. And we want to make sure that we build products that are very flexible for students and instructors, easy to use, so students can spend more time learning the content and the didactic materials and spending less time trying to learn how to use the learning tool. So I'm pointing out right here, I'm scrolling through the actual course, and you'll see that we've employed what we call a repeatable design, and that's purposeful. A repeatable design really allows students to go in there. Once they get familiar with one lesson, they're going to be pretty much familiar with every lesson. So they can jump into any lesson and feel very comfortable. So as you can see, those same elements are repeated throughout. And we're going to point out those elements in a second. But I wanted to point out the course tool to you first. And again, as I've noted, flexibility is an important word in the building of this course, and we really try to be extremely flexible in meeting the needs of an instructor, because we know this tool is going to be used in a very different way depending on your curriculum needs and how your institution operates, and also your students that you're working with. So in some cases, some people are going to employ this as a full online solution, and in some cases, this is going to be either done as a hybrid or even on-ground employment. So we want to make sure that we can do and work with any solution and any deployment that you have. So I'm going to point out the course tools. And first we're going to look at the syllabus. And one thing I wanted to point out to you is that you're seeing the instructor side of our learning management system. So you'll notice that some of these items are grayed out. That's purposeful. And those really indicate items that really are only available to the instructor. So again, pointing out the flexibility of the solution. Certainly we know that you may want to make some items available to your student, and in some cases assign certain items or not make them available to your student, and you can easily do that within this learning management system. So let me just point out we have a syllabus document, and this is a great tool. Everyone's familiar with the syllabus. We've built this in Microsoft Word, so it's easy to edit, and it really points out how this course is going to be utilized, as the student will be using other materials besides the online course, so points out the required learning resources as well as additional learning resources. And then it really breaks out what the lessons map to, specifically tied to those materials. And of course, as I mentioned, editable, so if instructors want to use this and apply different materials or implement this program in something other than a 15-week course structure, they can easily do that. So again, this is, as Jen mentioned, this is for 15 weeks, but we've had people using this in 8-week applications or 10-week applications. So that's the syllabus document. I'm going to point out that we have learning objectives. These open up in a separate window, and that's purposeful to allow students to be able to toggle between the course and then the course objectives. So these are course level objectives, and again, very important for the student to be able to understand what the goals are tied to that course. Then we have a great interactive glossary. This is a course-level glossary. Really great tool for students, and again, opens in a separate window. They can either search for terms or they can browse alphabetically. So again, offering them a great tool that's at their fingertips at any time. Then we have a great instructor tool. It's an instructor resource guide. And I think this is really a perfect example of a tool that sets Jones and Bartlett apart, because we're really focusing on the needs for the instructor, the pain points for the instructor. So this tool you don't normally see with an online product. You don't typically see a lot of tools and support tools for instructors with online products. This is very specific to how an instructor may want to implement the course. It has instructor rubric material tied to the assessments in it, the short answer assessments, as well as some of the essay-style questions. But it also has materials about enhancing the online learning experience. So if you're new to online learning, or you're looking to kind of add some more interest for your students in implementing the online learning or organizing it, we've put some great material within this instructor guide and some links for you so that you can get some more information on that. This is such a fantastic tool. Then we have the end-of-course assessment, and I'm going to point that out that we have both a end-of-course assessment, which is a traditional assessment, and again, ties all of the lessons together in one assessment. It offers both multiple choice, multi-response, true, false, short answer assessment courses, and again, appropriate from a Bloom's taxonomy standpoint to the level of student that we have in a DNP program. Again, this is built native in Moodle and is highly assignable, editable. So again, allows a lot of flexibility to instructors. Some instructors maybe would prefer not to use an end-of-course assessment. That's completely their prerogative, but we offer it as an option for you. And then we have another Microsoft Word document, which is the short answer assessments, and again, another instructor rubric tool for instructors. But again, because of the DNP level, there's a lot of writing assignments, so we're offering the ability to have some sort of rubric to grade those assignments. Okay, so those are the course tools and resources. And then we're going to jump right into one of the lessons. I'm going to go into Lesson 8, and that's the DNP role, informatics, and public health. And again, I just want to point out that very clean design and the elements in which and direction that a student would move through this. So again, of course, completely at the whim of the instructor of how you would want your students to move through there. But we feel that this is a very natural way that students would move through content and be able to meet those learning objectives. So we have the overview of the actual lesson, and then the student would move through it and start in the welcome section, and of course, making all the sense in the world to go to those learning objectives. So again, there they are. Those are the lesson level learning objectives, but students can always go back to the course level objectives if they'd like to. Opens up in a separate window. They can always toggle back and forth between the content and these objectives. Okay, then we're going to move into the study section. And again, this is really where most of the content for the course is and where the student's going to spend a bunch of their time, the majority of their time. So let me open that up. Interactive lecture, that opens up in a separate window. Let me just get that open for you. And again, this document really is the majority of the didactic content. This is all new content for the student, so it's not verbatim from a text, but it does include some information from the text as well as other sources. And again, those I'll point out that we have those cited very extensively within the actual interactive lecture. One thing I want to point out right away is that very clean design. That's something that was, again, done purposeful because we know that a lot of DNP students, maybe they have full-time jobs or they're doing a ton of other coursework. They have families. So they're doing some of this learning during, evening hours, or they're multitasking. We hope not, but that happens. Some are not as tech-savvy as others. So, again, we wanted to make it extremely easy for them to move through this course, and we didn't want them to feel overwhelmed with an online solution. So they have some great navigational tools. I'm pointing out that students will always be able to understand where they are in the course, so that's easily known right here in the lower right-hand corner. And then they also have this great menu tool in the lower left-hand corner that allows them to jump to various screens within the actual interactive lecture and allows them to use it as a great review tool. One thing, again, that the title, Interactive Lecture, is really not meant to be a replacement for a lecture that an instructor would typically give, but really offers a forum or a place for the instructor, a foundation from which they can work, whether they choose to use it in more of a flipped classroom situation where the student is reviewing this and then they discuss the interactive lecture within the class, or assign certain activities from the actual interactive lecture and then bring that into the class, or an instructor really wants to use this as the foundation for their own personal lecture. That's truly their choice, but again, offering a ton of flexibility to the instructor. I just wanted to point out a couple of the other tools that we employ within the actual interactive lecture. Always going back to these inline glossary terms. So again, those are woven throughout the actual materials, and again, students can easily click on that and get more information. We have the ability for students to print each page. So we know some learners really like to still use some concrete paper and write their notes and feel comfortable having something physical to touch. So they have that option with this print mechanism. They can print any one of these pages within the interactive lecture, but they can also go and have a complete digital workflow by using this great notes tool, which I just think is fantastic. So each screen is noted, and then students can go in and make notes. They can save this, and they can also print it out. So again, a great tool for those digital natives who really want a complete digital workflow. We also have a couple other tools. We have another interactive glossary, which opens in a separate window, very similar to the other one. This is a lesson level glossary, and again allows students to move through this content through either a browse feature or they can search. We have another great tool that exists within this, and this is an audio feature. And audio auto-plays when a student moves through each page of this. So I'm going to turn the audio on, and I'm going to move to a page so you can hear the audio.
Project Sales provides information on the skills needed to research information. Nurses can integrate informatics into practice so that information management and computer technology can be used to improve patient outcomes.
So there's an example of the audio. These are audio summaries that students have as an audio tool, really, something to offer a level of interactivity for them and interest. Some students obviously are more auditory learners, and they like having something that really allows them some summary of that didactic content. Again, this is a summary, so it is not a complete transcript of what is on the page, but again, just offers another learning aid for them. And again, if they need it, they can have closed captioning of that actual audio summary, so it gives them an understanding of that material, that transcript for that. Something else that I wanted to point out for the actual student is really that design that we've employed, and you can see this really well on this page. So we have worked to do some scaffolding and use of design principles that allow students to have easily digestible amounts of content. So we know in the DNP world, the content that they're ingesting is massive. And it's a lot of material to deal with, and especially online, it is not an easy thing to handle in some cases. So we've employed these great tabbed features that allow students to move through the content, offers interactivity and visual interest, but it also allows them to not have to deal with long scrolling pages of content. So again, really allows them the opportunity to feel less overwhelmed with content. And again, we've employed this design throughout. So really giving that the learner an optimal online experience. A couple other tools I wanted to point out within the interactive lecture are these great Think About It activities. And again, these are opportunities for critical thinking and for students to really spend some time reviewing the content they've learned already. So in many cases, here's an example. Here is a activity that students are asked to read through, and then they're going to compose a short answer response that addresses the question within the actual activity, and then they have that immediate feedback option. And again, this is an opportunity for students to practice in a safe environment, but also a great opportunity for instructors to be able to employ this, again, maybe in a flipped classroom situation, certainly within a discussion question, opportunities to offer collaboration within your class, especially in those online environments. So again, really giving instructors a lot of flexibility about how to use this content to optimize the learning experience. And again, there are those Think About It activities woven throughout the lesson. There's a minimum of 2 of those through each one of these lessons, but in some cases there may be 3 or 4 of those. The other tool that we have that exists throughout these lessons are the case reviews, and again, critically important in the nursing world. So again, the student is going to review the case study. There's a question, and then they get that immediate response, that remediation, and it's a debrief of that content. And again, more tools for the instructor and how they want to use it, giving the student an opportunity to really review that content in a safe environment, and these can be used in various ways. I just wanted to point out a couple of other items that we employ in every one of these interactive lectures. There's this great looking back tool. So this really allows students to review and use the actual interactive lecture as a safe tool to move back and forth through the content. And this looking back really refers to the actual screens that relate to the learning objectives. So they know exactly where this content is within the actual interactive lecture. A great tool. And then, of course, we have a reference section. So very detailed and extensive references are noted within each one of these interactive lectures. So this is a great tool, allows students a lot of flexibility, and certainly is extremely easy to move through. So I'm going to leave the interactive lecture, and then we're going to move on to a couple of the other items within the actual lesson. So now students, they've done their study work, and now we're going to move to the review and practice. And here's an example of where we have some more great practice tools for students, but we're offering the instructor the opportunity to assign these practice activities. So in many cases, these practice activities can be discussion questions, they may be case studies, they can be a multiple response question, or even something as interactive as a ordering or labeling activity. In this case, this practice activity has an activity, so we're asking the student to compose a short answer response that addresses the questions here, and then again, they get that immediate feedback. But this is a great tool for instructors. They can assign this so they know the student is dealing with practice activities. They get a completion, and then they can also use this activity as a classroom activity or something that could be used in a chat situation. So again, a lot of opportunity and flexibility for the instructor. There's at least 2 practice activities within each one of the lessons. Then we'll move on to the assessment and evaluate section. So this is exactly what it says. This is where all the assessments are and opportunities for the instructor to do some evaluation of the student and their progress. We offer a discussion question, an assignment, and then a traditional lesson assessment, which is really very similar to what I showed in the end-of-course assessment. This has multiple response, true and false, essays, short essay-style questions, but higher-level Bloom's taxonomy questions. So let me just show you quickly the discussion questions. What's great about these questions and the assessments is these are built natively in the learning management system. So again, offering instructors the ability to edit these questions as well as assign them. So you can add more discussion questions if you'd like. You can edit the question that exists, and you can change even the grading parameters of these types of activities. It's tons of flexibility for the instructor, and these were built purposefully within the learning management system to offer those editing capabilities. So here's a discussion question. We know those are incredibly important, especially in an online application or deployment. Then I'm going to show you one of the assignments, and the assignments tend to be written assignments, giving the student an opportunity to show off their writing skills, always asked to be sent in a scholarly way through an APA format. And then here's that lesson assessment. And again, these are completely editable. Instructors can add questions, edit the questions that exist there, and again, they have a lot of control to go in and also change the grading parameters for this. One thing I'd like to note is that this learning management system does have a configurable grade book, so allowing instructors a lot of ability to go in and really create the environment that they'd like to for their curriculum needs and for students to meet their goals from a learning standpoint. So again, a lot of flexibility. And then the last thing I wanted to point out are the resources. We have 2 resources that exist. We have the web links. These are tied to what exists in the interactive lecture, so anything that will come of extra use, extra tools, or places that would make sense for students to visit, all those are noted in this web link section. And then we have the references. And again, these are the references that are repeated again from the interactive lecture, but giving students something easier. They don't have to open up the interactive lecture to access these. They're right at their fingertips. So again, really focusing on the ability to make things extremely easy, flexible for the instructor, allowing you to really take this course, this curriculum solution, and make it unique to your own institution, but yet offering you a real opportunity to offer an out-of-the-box solution if need be. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Jen and let her continue. She has a couple of additional slides that she'd like to go over with you.
Great. Thanks, Mary Colleen.
I just need to give you the presenter privileges. Need to do that. There we go.
Great. You will just see a small change back in your screen while I'm becoming the presenter. Thanks so much, Mary Colleen. I think that was a great in-depth overview of the courses and all of the functionality within those courses as well. So that's fantastic. I do want to remind anyone who's attending, participating today, that if you want to chat with your sales rep further, I will have that information at the end of the call. And, if there's anything else that we can do to answer any questions, we're happy to do that because we're very excited about this curriculum. So I'm sure that you probably have some questions around the individual course and the curriculum pricing. So what we're going to do in the next couple of slides is I'll walk you through that. So the curriculum, which is comprised of all 12 courses, is $1,200 per student, and that breaks down to $99.95 per course per student. So if you were to adopt just one course, it would be $99.95 per course per student. That is does not include the textbooks, and we'll talk about that in just a second as well. So hopefully that's pretty straightforward. And if there is any question on pricing, I do encourage you to follow up with your sales rep after this presentation. Like we had mentioned earlier, and I know that Mary Colleen talked a little bit about the content in her presentation, each one of these courses draws from several of our Jones and Bartlett learning textbooks, and in order to make this an affordable, cost-effective option for both you and your students, we've come up with a custom print and ebook option using our Publish platform. And if you're unfamiliar with Publish, it's actually just the name of the platform we use where we can go ahead and customize any textbook. And, that's also not just for these courses or textbooks that belong to these courses, but we have flexibility to do that for additional textbooks as well. So if you're interested in doing that for any Jones and Bartlett learning textbook that you might be using. But if we take the first course, for example, that's that introduction to the Doctor of Nursing practice role that Mary Colleen just walked you through. It draws content from two textbooks. That's the Doctor of Nursing Practice, a guidebook for Role Development and Professional Issues by Lisa Chisholm, and also the Doctor of Nursing Practice Essentials, a new model for advanced practice nursing, the second edition by both Mary Zaccagnini and Catherine White. What we would do is create a custom textbook that would use just the key chapters from each of those books. Students would buy one book. It's more cost effective. If you want a little bit more information, I invite you to visit the website at jblearning.com/publish. This next slide here just really breaks it down in terms of the numbers. So again, using that first course, the Introduction to the Doctor of Nursing Practice role, if you chose that traditional option of purchasing the course and then the two individual textbooks that accompany that Intro to the DNP role course that I just mentioned, the course is $99.95. The Doctor of Nursing Practice text is $82.95. And then the Doctor of Nursing Practice Essentials text is $86.95. So that's a total of $269.85 per course. But if we look at the other custom options that exist, going to the second option, that's the course plus the custom print text. The total there is $186.75. So that's a savings of $83 over that traditional option. And then better yet is that third option, which is the course plus the custom ebook. So it was, again, just taking those chapters that were used to create the course, delivering it in an ebook format for you, and the total per student is $163.71. So that's over $100 savings from the traditional option. And we have these custom options available for all of our DNP courses, which represents a fantastic opportunity as well as a fantastic savings for you and your students. We often get the question from many instructors about the purchasing option. So really two options here. There's the first, which is the traditional student pay model, where the student could purchase the course access code and the textbook from the bookstore directly. And again, the pricing is the same. It's $99 per course, or if they choose, if the instructor or the institution adopts the full curriculum, it's $1,200 plus the cost of the textbook. Alternatively, we have situations where the institution purchases the course access codes in the textbooks for students up front, and this cost might be rolled into tuition or however they choose to handle that. So two basic models, the traditional student pay model and then the institutional purchase pay model. Lastly, before we wrap up today, I just want to inform you that we do have a few different resources for you to, test drive one of these courses for yourself or to connect with your rep. So the first URL that you see here is for what we call our virtual sandbox. So if you visit demo.navigate.jblearning.com, that's going to actually bring you to a page where there'll be a login. The username and the password, they're both nursing demo, one string together, no space included there. That's going to pull up a sandbox of all of our courses for DNP, so we allow you to go in there, and it actually hosts the first lesson for each one of the courses. So you can navigate through there just like Mary Colleen did today. You have full access. It's a great way for you to, get used to the features, the functionality, and also preview the content. If you'd like a little bit more information about the custom option via Publish, I invite you to visit jblearning.com/publish. For more information on our DNP Nursing the courses or the curriculum, I do invite you to visit dnpnursing.com. We actually have a video presentation posted there as well from when we presented at the DNP conference last fall in Phoenix, and Lisa Chisholm was actually a keynote or headlining speaker for us there, so I invite you to check that out. And lastly, our account specialists are definitely there to help you if you'd like to see another course. If you'd like to contact your rep, please visit jblearning.com, go to the About section and contact your rep, and if you plug in the state that you're located in, your rep will come up and you can message them directly. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We're very excited about these courses and this curriculum, and we look forward to connecting with you again at another live event or a virtual event. Thanks very much.